More than 50 million people are displaced around the world because of conflict, poverty, persecution, and climate change.
Mais c'est parce que ça va pas qu'on sort pour chercher pour la famille.
3 of the biggest gateways for migrants and refugees into Europe are through the Western, Central, and Eastern Mediterranean.
To tackle the unprecedented numbers of people risking their lives to enter its borders, Europe is spending hundreds of millions of euros to fortify its frontiers.
We don't make a stand because the Greeks don't help us. Don't go to other countries in Europe.
Επειδή ανεβαίνουν πολλά άτομα μέσα και όταν προσπαθούν να περάσουν από εδώ, γύριζε η βάρκα. Μιλάνε γυναίκες με μωρά παιδιά στην αγκαλιά.
She died from hypothermia. She had personal objects, she had a name, she had documents, she had nothing.
More than 2,000 people were illegally pushed back to Turkey from Greece between 2012 and 2013, according to a report by German NGO Brazil. We traveled to a small Greek village in the Evros region, right next to the Turkish land border. This is where the biggest alleged pushback happened, a mysterious disappearance of a large group of Syrians in November 2013. So we're in a small village called Pragi. The villagers here have reported seeing 150 Syrian refugees. Some of them were on the town square by the church, and apparently white police vans came, took all the migrants, drove them away, and nobody has seen them since.
Ένα απόγευμα ήταν όντως μαζεμένοι εδώ στα σκαλιά της εκκλησίας, εδώ ακριβώς. Εδώ τα σκαλιά αυτά, απλώς τους βάλαν στα αυτοκίνητα και πήγαν. Και μετά που τους πήγαν και τι κάνουν, δεν πειράζαν οι άνθρωποι αυτοί. Δεν ήταν δηλαδή επικίνδυνοι να σε χτυπήσουν ή να, ξέρω, να μπουν σε σπίτια και να κάνουν ζημιές. Ζητούσαν βοήθεια, ζητούσαν να τους προστατεύσεις. Να λέμε και την αλήθεια. Όταν εδώ πηγαίναν για ψάρεμα και το ένα τ' άλλο, έβρισκαν και νεκρούς. Άρα δεν έλεγε κανείς τίποτα και τι να πει. Ποιος είναι ο λόγος.
One of the missing Syrians was allegedly later found in Turkey. According to his witness account, the 150 refugees were beaten, robbed, and then sent back to Turkey. And 13 people were missing after the illegal readmission operation. To find out if the Greek authorities had investigated this disappearance, we went to see the regional police director of Eastern Macedonia and Thrace.
150 Syrian refugees disappeared in a town called Pragi. Do you know what the investigation is at this current moment?
Λοιπόν, δεν θέλω να πω σε λεπτομέρειες. Η υπόθεση, νομίζω, για την υπόθεση έχει διαταχθεί διοικητική έρευνα και δικαστική έρευνα. Κατά συνέπεια, δεν θα πω τίποτα από αυτό, γιατί ακόμα είναι σε εξέλιξη.
You were there in 2010, where suddenly you had a 5-fold increase of migrants coming in, entering your region. How did that affect you as a police officer?
Μιλάμε για 36.000 μέσα σε ένα χρόνο. Δεν ήμασταν τότε έτοιμοι για να δεχτούμε τόσο μεγάλη μεταναστευτική πίεση. Και συνεχίζουμε να βελτιώνουμε τις συνθήκες διαμονής των παράνομων μεταναστών. Έχουμε καθαρισμό από εταιρείες καθαρισμού, από λιμάνσεις. Έχουμε εδώ στην Κομοτηνή έχουμε γιατρούς, έχουμε προσλάβει γιατρούς. 24ωρες φροντίδα στους κρατουμένους. Διερμηνείς, έχουμε ψυχολόγους, έχουμε κοινωνιολόγους, οι οποίοι προσφέρουν για να υποστηρίξουμε όλους τους κρατουμένους. Βεβαίως, ένας κρατούμενος, όταν τον κρατάς σε ξενοδοχείο 7 αστέρων, είναι κρατούμενος. Βεβαίως και δεν θα του αρέσει ο χώρος.
So we just finished the interview with Mr. Salamagas, the director of the police of this region. He described that the conditions in their detention centers and reception centers were wonderful. This is the absolute opposite of what every single NGO who has had access to these facilities have reported.
We asked to see one of the detention centers for ourselves. One of Salamagas' officers took us to the one in the town of Philakio, but we were not allowed to enter and very limited in what we could film.
The procedure we follow with all crews, it's from this road
If I go down without a camera, am I allowed to speak to some people down there?
Interviews is not allowed.
So apparently there are 300 people in the reception center and about 200 or more in this detention center. I'm screaming Yazidi, so I imagine they're from the Yazidi minority. Do you speak English?
Not good here. We have big problem. Doubles of medicine. We are very sick. We have children have problem in his heart. And don't give us hot water and water clean, not clean. Yes, we come from Schengen because the ISIS kill every family.
Are you applying for asylum?
We don't make asylum because the Greek don't help us. We don't go to another country in Europe.
People don't want to apply for asylum in Greece because if they do, that means that they have to stay in Greece. And they don't want to stay in Greece because it's a country in crisis, it'll be difficult to make a living. We've heard a lot of reports of racist attacks. It must be really confusing because they come from war-torn countries, they had a very difficult journey here, and now they're in this building, they can't leave it. And I'm sure they have no idea what's going to happen next.
Around 6,000 people are currently detained in Greece for up to 18 months, sometimes longer. NGOs have reported subhuman, unsanitary conditions in the centres, with accounts of little or no access to a yard, wet mattresses, and broken toilets leaking excrement to the floors below, and that even minors and asylum seekers are detained, with insufficient access to legal aid.
They're just simply detained in order to be deported back to the country. And again, one has to understand these people are not criminals. They're being treated as criminals, but they are not. We have heard cases of people trying to actually commit suicide. Detention should only be the last resort, but in Greece it's used systematically, and it's used in a way that we believe it's also a way of actually pushing people to leave the country. It's also a way to tell people you are not welcome here.
Greece has received millions of euros in EU funds to boost border control and build more detention facilities. Substantially less has been allocated to improve conditions for migrants and refugees. Once nicknamed the barn door to Europe, the Greek land border with Turkey is now blocked off by a 7-mile-long fence that cost more than 3 million euros and was built in the midst of Greece's crippling financial crisis. The fence ends where the Greek part of the Evros River begins, whose brutal undercurrents present a deadly natural obstacle.
We're on the river Evros, that's Turkey, that's Greece. This is where migrants cross in small rubber boats. And because the river is really deep, the boats are not very safe, and many of them can't swim. Many people have lost their lives here.
We found a local fisherman to take us along the dreaded waterway.
How long have you been a fisherman here in Evros?
35 χρόνια. Εμείς επειδή είμαστε συνέχεια εδώ, ξέρουμε πιθανή προς πιθανή που πρέπει να περάσουμε. Αλλού το μπαζόνι, αλλού το βαθαίνει. Εκεί που βλέπεις ότι έχει τώρα, ας πούμε, σήμερα 1 μέτρο νερό, το χειμώνα μπορεί εκεί να το κάνει να έχει 10 μέτρα νερό. Και με τη βάρκα που περνάνε αυτά τα φουσκωτά, εγώ έχω δει πολλές φορές αυτά τα μικρά, επειδή ανεβαίνουν πολλά άτομα μέσα και όταν προσπαθούν να περάσουν από εδώ, γυρίζει η βάρκα. Είναι φουσκωτό, πλαστικό, ψεύτικο πράγμα, γυρίζει. Άμα δεν ξέρει κολύμπη, πνίγεται. Έχω βρει δηλαδή εγώ πολλούς λαθρομετανάστες πνιγμένους.
Did you ever have to save anyone?
Πόσες φορές έχω γλιτώσει κόσμο. Μωρά παιδιά, μωρά. 2-3 μηνών γεννημένα, παγωνιά με -10. Μιλάμε γυναίκες με μωρά παιδιά στην αγκαλιά. Άστα.
The bodies found in the river are taken to the regional morgue in Alexandroupolis.
these people we found in the ships, we found in the river after 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. As you say, for us the problem is identification, and if we found some personal belongings or anything else, and if someone interesting about these people, and this is the photo from the personal objects, we take DNA from these people, I take DNA from dead people, and they make identification.
The coroner has taken it upon himself to log the DNA of each body that is brought to the morgue. Taking DNA samples and archiving any belongings are the only clues to identifying them.
She died from hypothermia. Look. I have a baby only one time. We found after 6 months.
How many people have come to your morgue that you haven't been able to identify?
For me, in the last 5 years, it's 500 maybe.
And is this a total number of people that have been found, or have more people been found?
No, from the Greek side, it's this number. But the river Evros, 50% is from Greece, another side from Turkish. If we found someone a body in the Greek side, he come here. If they found in the Turkish side, we have information. We don't know what exactly happened there. We don't know number, we don't know nothing about this. This woman, number 6. She haven't personal objects, she haven't a name, she haven't documents, she have nothing.
So people are now not a name but a number?
Yes, only with number, with nothing else.
So are all of these people buried in the cemetery in Sibiro?
Yes, all the people.
With no means of identifying them, the many hundreds who have lost their lives in the Evros River usually end up in unmarked graves in remote migrant cemeteries.
So you had to drive for an hour up small mountain roads to get here, and the cemetery was absolutely impossible to find. It's completely overgrown, and you couldn't tell that this is a cemetery. There are all these plastic gloves spread around, here, here. They must have been used to carry bodies, so that probably means that they're not buried in coffins. There are no names, no nothing, not even any religious symbols. We don't know how many people are buried here either. Unnamed graves of unnamed people who died trying to get into Europe. And there's no way of knowing why they came, where their families are. It's like these people never even existed.
които извършват 24-часово наблюдение на държавната граница 7 дни в седмицата.
العسكر البلغاري مسكونا رجعونا يعني هيك مرتين ثلاثة رجعونا على الحدود التركية
العراق وبسوريا كمان هيك صار هيك
مانك حافظ قرآن ما بتعرف تصلي ايه يلا خال
It's not easy, you see this condition, you see, and have many dreams, many future, but all this thing in rubbish, in dustbin. I'm here, sitting in this condition like a crazy man because of what?